So this is that basil pesto sauce. I'm just gonna mix it together and drizzle. Veggie Quinoa Chili.
Is that what that is?
Veggie Quinoa Chili. Good cold veggie quinoa. Quinoa is a grain grown in high hilltops. They have something surrounding them called a sopina, and the sopina actually prevents birds from eating them because they're sort of poisonous. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What is this that I'm touching?
So this is my pesto sauce. So anytime I steam carrots, because I don't use butter, right? So butter, oil, I'm gonna steam carrots. So I steam carrots, as soon as they come out of the steamer, I'll toss them in pesto. It doesn't have any cheese, it doesn't have any nuts. It's simply just an herb puree. This has basil, scallions, olive oil, salt, and pepper. That's it. So I use that as like a real big pop of flavor as soon as I'm, when I'm cooking something. So I've got this bowl here. We're gonna toss these garnishes. This is frisee. These are my tweezers. Wait, tweezers and?
Oh, you can
right?
see, yeah.
So just in case. So this is one of my favorite
What is
things.
that?
That's fried kale. Here, so give that a shot.
Like,
Just try it.
Just try it, yeah. It's a little crispy kale.
oh, it's salty. Wait, I want more.
Yeah, it's like a little chip.
Not what I would,
delicious.
not what I would expect for sure.
So I'm gonna mix all these together and
it's good.
I'm gonna toss them.
Oh, we liked it, like.
You like that, brother? Good,
Yes,
man.
somewhat.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna toss it with a little bit of salt
It is with this guy.
and some smoked olive oil. So because everything that we're doing, we're smoking all night, people are enjoying their self at my place. So I'm always sort of
Oh,
doing
yeah,
things.
he smells everything.
Everything.
Oh, my goodness.
So I put that in my smoker for about 2 hours,
We
just
need
in a
scratch
little
and
bowl.
sniff on the screen for this.
Right? Exactly.
Smell-o-vision.
Isn't that amazing? So when I'm making chili or something, and this is what I do with smoked carrots, especially when people are plant-based and they don't really want to eat any meat, I'm giving them sort of the feeling that they're having something substantial. Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I'm just tossing this together. That's the fried kale, cilantro, and a little bit of the frisee. And then we're just gonna frisee, hey? Right? And then we're just gonna garnish right on top of the veggie quinoa chili here. So after this is done, I take it, I mix it all together.
So you're gonna mix that?
I will let you mix that all together right before you're gonna eat it. And I'm
How long will
going
that be?
to, in about 4 seconds, I promise. So this is that basil pesto sauce. I'm just gonna mix it together and drizzle.
You don't have to hurry. I can
So
wait.
the smoked olive oil is the infused component in this dish. Typically, and this is really what I'm doing all the time when I'm infusing things, is the infusions come at the end. They come by way of the purees. I'm never sauteing a steak or lobster or anything in the actual cannabis oil. I'm infusing that, trying to do it at room temperature, as cold as possible, absolutely.
So you're not adding any more heat to it.
I try not to. I try to infuse it as that food stuff is cold, and then I will always garnish something, or the puree that I'm adding to a dish, that will be the infused component.
So now we just mix this all together?
Please do. Enjoy.
I'm surprised you're waiting.
I'm just. Smells really good, and
Really simple. There's a little bit of heat to it. And again, I love cold, I love hot. I mean, I'm happy to eat this cold. I have no problem with it.
I'm happy to
So
eat
how
this
would you
cold.
eat this hot?
Same way.
Like, it,
Just blow on it first.
oh, it has a little spice to it.
Isn't that yummy?
It's really, really good. Your salt, is that just regular old
This
salt?
is Maldon Salt, so
what's
it's
that?
it's a softer salt. It it looks coarse, right? It's a coarse salt, but it's so soft in your hands that I can crumble it right before
It
I.
doesn't need salt. I'm
No,
just not wasting
right
it.
before I will put it on something because I don't want big chunks of salt, but
Oh.
I'm not a huge salter, right? I will finish with salt. I use smoked salt and different salt, but I don't use a ton of salt in my actual cooking.
So I noticed when we went to dinner and you cooked for us before, you would literally put your eyes and nose on everything that goes out.
Everything. And you know, I always wonder, and I don't know why I think this way, but I wonder sometimes if I lose a sense, would I be able to recreate things? And I think the answer is yes, by sight, by smell, by taste. I love all sort of understanding every sense. That's why textural contrast is so important to me. That's why although you're getting really soft ingredients on the bottom, I'm incorporating some crunchies on the top, right? And that burst of flavor through the fresh herbs. Please, brother.
It's good. It's really,
Good.
really good.
I'm glad. Enjoy.
It's really good. It's really, really good. And this is gluten-free, organic.
Gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. Yeah, that recipe is on my site. That recipe is there, chefjordanwagman.com. The cannabis component is going to be part of my new book. So I'm not
Does your
releasing.
new book have a name?
I think it's going to be called Will by Jordan Wagman. So Will is a friend of mine. Lisa Borden came up with the name, and she said, I thought of this, and I thought of you immediately. Because my will to get healthy, my will to succeed, just my general will to move things forward, it really resonated the moment she said it. So one of the edible lines that I'd like to come out with is also called Will.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Trademark that, or don't you have to do that? Once
Dude,
we
I'm
put this
I'm
out?
feeling your vibe completely.
This
Thank
is
you,
really
brother.
good. On cooking shows, do they normally eat it all, or do they only eat a little bit?
I'm not worried about them right now.
Can I make your lobster for you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to try some lobster? Yeah.
Can you make my lobster? No, sorry.
Okay, so I am going to bring out a bunch of ingredients here. So we have in this bowl right now,
What do you have in your bowl?
we have some potatoes. We're gonna make a lobster niçoise salad. And there's a few components here that are
Lobster
infused. Niçoise. So it's
that
a niçoise salad is classically green beans, potatoes, olives, tomatoes, and that's the mixture. So you'd have tuna niçoise is really what's a very classic French dish.
Okay.
So I take it and I use lobster. I'm using some poached potatoes. So after I take the lobster, I add some wine to the pan. I said wine, and I don't even cook with wine. Water to the pan, and only water, because I want people to recreate this at home.
Experience.
It is, and it's about the ingredients.
Water to wine is what you were.
Right, exactly. I add water to the pan that I seared the lobster in, and what happens is all of the little stuff, all that little food that got stuck to the bottom of the pan, we call that fond. And as you add water, it's called deglazing, and you're lifting all that up. So after that, I took the water and I put the potatoes in there, and I poached the potatoes in that water. So these are actually poached in the lobster stock. Okay, so it's mixed. This is mixed with some fava greens, really simple stuff. I'm gonna mix it with
Fava greens?
Fava greens. So it's fava beans.
Fava beans is from Silence of the Lambs, right?
Fava, are they?
Well, didn't he say he was gonna have some Chianti and some
And some fava beans?
and he was gonna eat your brain or something?
All I remember is, what does he say? She puts on the dress. She puts on
lotion.
the puts on the put the lotion in the
on.
basket.
Yeah.
Put the lotion in the basket.
That's a great movie.
Right?
It made me think of this. Fava. I thought there was only fava beans.
So
I
it's
didn't know
fava
that.
shoots. These are fava shoots. They're awesome.
Are they from the beans?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So these are some olives. So classically, a niçoise salad has some olives. So right now,
He loves them.
you have potatoes, you have olives, you have lobster, and you have the herbs. So now we're gonna garnish this. So the garnish is two of my favorites. I love sesame seeds. So anytime you're cooking with sesame seeds, nuts, seeds, spices, you toast them first.
It is
And nuts and spices, anytime you use them, you want to toast them first. You want to release all those essential oils. So you take a dry pan and you take a sesame seed and you see that color, right? It's nicely brown.
Yep.
It goes white in the pan, dry pan, you toss it around on a medium-low burner until it starts to change color. And two things happen, and we talk about senses. You're changing your color, but it's also becoming aromatic. And as soon as you start to smell it and it becomes aromatic, you've released the essential oils and you've done your job.
when you know.
Sesame
Exactly.
seeds are good for you?
Sesame seeds are good for me. I mean, I have good for me. They don't affect me. There's no adverse effects. Yeah, there's no adverse effects for me.
I didn't know what they were.
They're just great. I like textural contrast, so it's just more textural contrast here, and it's color. And I'm trying to create something that's chopped salad-like.
Right.
Okay, so these are
both?
black sesame seeds. So I have white and black sesame seeds here. So I'm just continuing building out the layers of flavor here. So I have here. This is really unique. I take a watermelon radish. Watermelon radish has the name because it has a green outside like watermelon rind and the inside is pink. So when I mix it with coconut vinegar, it turns it completely red.
Oh, God.
So there's some pickled radishes in here.
Yum.
And again, all I'm doing is creating that textural contrast, but that you want the umami is what everybody talks about, but it's all that flavor. It's all the different flavors. You want crunch, you want soft. Yeah. Will you try one?
But thank you.
Aren't those yummy?
So good. And I like pickled anything.
Right? I'm
Like
gonna throw another one
pickled.
in.
Oh my
Okay, and
God.
so lastly, I've got the vinaigrette. So the vinaigrette is that cherry tomato sauce that I talked about. So my cherry tomato sauce is simply cherry tomatoes and olive oil. I wait until the cherry tomatoes, as they're covered, basically, as they start to cook, they split and they release all their water, right?
Right.
All their juice. And what happens is, in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you go from having a dry pan, it's completely wet. The tomatoes are completely covered. As soon as they're covered, I take them out and I emulsify it in my blender. I cool that down or wait, I'll emulsify it again with some cannabis oil. So this is your vinaigrette, and yeah, this is gonna be sexy as hell.
Yummy.
Okay, and then we're
We're
gonna
setting the bar right now.
we are going to
it's
toss it.
beautiful color too. Like this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So we're gonna garnish this with our mustard sauce, which has been infused. And the mustard sauce is going to provide
Today's such a good day at Wiki.
all.
I'm so glad I didn't call in sick. Just kidding. I don't do that. Well, I do, but not really.
Okay, so I'm gonna wipe that plate a little bit. And then we're gonna garnish. I left this side open for a little bit of a garnish with our mustard sauce. So this is, we're always talking about texture and different flavors in it. So this is Dijon mustard, coconut vinegar, and THC. You smell that?
Oh my God. Everything's. I'm still liking that smoked oil stuff. Whatever that was, deliciousness.
So giving it some love.
Is this you learned that in chef school?
You know, someone asked me that the other night, and the answer is absolutely not. You can't teach it. That's
Oh, you
not
either
something
know it or you
you know it or you don't. We're gonna add one more shot of color and pop of flavor, and this comes by way. What? I've got the spoon right here. This comes by way of that pesto again. So
Oh,
all I'm gonna do is just give that a little bit more over here, and
You're
that's.
an artist. You're an artist.
I try. I mean, I do try. That's the whole thing.
God.
That's your lobster Nicoise salad.
Are we all sharing this? Like all 30 of us
Jackie,
here?
this
I was just gonna say. Nope.
Or-
Let's just one fork this. No, but chef, that looks fantastic. Can this be served
Talk
warm?
amongst yourselves.
We could absolutely serve it warm. Absolutely. What I would do is, because if you serve that warm and toss it with those greens, the greens will wilt. So I would garnish it with the greens instead, but I would toss everything else together and create a warm Nicoise salad. Absolutely. But Lester, in front of you, brother, that's the mango coconut gummies. So those have mango, fresh mango, dried coconut that I've just toasted the same way that I explained how to toast your sesame seeds in a dry pan just until they change color a little bit, yeah. And then this is Hascap berry puree. So I'm always trying to do different things. Caps are long blueberries, right? They're just long blueberries, really, really, really sour. I take maple syrup, that's my sweetener. I bring them to a simmer and I puree them, and that's it. So what I would do is I would take that and dip it in almost like you have fondue or something. So I'd take a gummy, and I'd dip it right into the Hascap berry puree, and there you go, brother.
And good night, Lester. Just kidding. This is really good. Is this for 12 people?
I mean, it's one Jackie.
It's so good.
On the spot, mango. Mango.
Right? Mango, coconut. So that's a gummy, right? Like that's what I'm hoping
an
that
adult
gummies. Yeah, right. That's what I'm hoping that gummies will be one day.
I'm hoping lunch at Wiki will be like this every day. One day.
One day.
Oh, we have Chef Jordan come on Fridays.
Right?
I have sesame seed in my teeth now.
You learned that. So, are these infused?
Those are infused.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're baked
Yeah.
for the rest of your day.
Yeah. So no sugar, and it's totally vegan, which is really cool. My personal experience, because there's no sugar in it, a 3 for me or my food is a little bit different than an average gummy.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you a ratio, and that's not what I'm gonna do, but I can tell you that certainly this gummy without sugar at 3 milligrams will impact me differently than a regular gummy with 3 milligrams, which would probably do nothing.
So, where do we find you again?
Chef Jordan Wagman, jordanwagman.com.
Awesome. Oh, it's a knife.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Chef, fantastic.
Thank you, my man.
Gluten-free?
Thank you.
Like flavor,
Gluten-free, dairy-free, refined, sugar-free.
always.
Thanks, guys.
Not free of deliciousness.
Great.
Amen.
Like, for real.
But I had a
Really
lot of
good.
fun. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Truly. Really appreciate
I'm
it.
hugging you. Thanks for coming to the green room. Thanks for cooking for me.
Thank you, of course.
You guys gotta try it.